record on this computer. Okay, yeah. So thank you for joining our workshop. And then today we are going to kind of discuss like your project openly. And then we have a bunch of people here as well. So we can pretty much get different feedback from different people. So yeah, so I think the first one is Nkick, right? Nkick's company is called Imaginet Software Labs, and he is going to show his AR project he posts on LinkedIn. So Nkick, do you want to share your screen and let us kind of give you some feedback?
Sure, I'll just share my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so probably you can see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you able to see?
Yeah. Do you have sound?
Yeah, it's just like one background music which I've added. So it's actually nothing very interesting or something. It's just like I have this model which I have already created, I guess 2 months back for one of my personal pieces. So I just thought like just put it into AR and see like how it will look in real world. So yeah, so I've just put it in the AR core in Unity through AR Foundation, and I've added some light estimation, some reflection probe, and I spawn it in in my space.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 3D model, the concept is really unique. Yeah, it's like a dragon and a girl. It reminds me of like, some animation, right?
Yeah, so it was actually inspired by one of my favorite anime movie, Spirited Away from Studio Ghibli.
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah, so what feedback do you want to get from this project?
Not very much. Like, how about like look and feel? Do you think like look and feel is like super important in XR, or do you think like it's more about how like functionally how important it is? Like the function which is there, it should be like more important rather than look and feel or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, what's your goal for this one? What's your goal for this piece, or what's your goal for your company? Do you have company website, or like what service are you going to provide for XR?
Okay, so like I'm actually working in an XR company. So this project has nothing to do with my company. It was just like my personal project. So it was just like about spawning this character, and so it's like as a child I always has this dream of going into the Studio Ghibli kingdom, but then like obviously it's not possible, right? So like I just thought like why cannot I bring those characters to my real world? So this was like the very first step of bringing those 2 characters, and I'll be bringing 3-4 more characters as well as I proceed.
Yeah, so basically your goal is to create like a storyline for XR, right? Like generate some content in XR, right? What I would say is that right now it's just like I feel like it's more like you put a 3D model inside a space. I think this is a really good, if that is like your first project, I think it's really good because now you can put a 3D object inside a space. But right now, the most important thing is the storyline. Like, what do you want to tell? Like, what can the user get, or what can the player get when they download your app or when they see your stuff? I know you like, the Spirit Away, right? The animation, but can you elaborate the kind of like the concept? Maybe make a promotional stuff. Like, what's the goal for this project? If this is just art installation, maybe you need to have like more sound animation. And then maybe, because for me, I believe every art or every design has to have a goal or a meaning. So on your piece of work, then we can see you have the skill to put a 3D model inside a 3D space through Unity, right? Use AR Foundation. And this is the baby step to get in. But how can you make it like the content part will be the second part for your work? Because just like right now, what I'm working on is I put kind of like I make an educational game in AR. And I am creating like a different model. If you want to see, I can pretty much show you. Maybe I use Unity. I wish it's not crashing. Maybe I show you not really Unity, but I show you the demo. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like what I'm doing. Yeah, and I will have a lot of different pitch event pretty soon. Yeah. Okay, so this is something that I've been doing. Can you see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see my, yeah, so, okay, so I think I played too fast. So this is like a different elements, right? And this is the monster. So my goal is to create Pokemon Go for teenagers to learn science. So I make each element like different monsters. Because when I was playing Pokemon Go, I was thinking about, yeah, I remember like 100 Pokemon's name, but none of them really benefit my real life. So I was thinking about and every time when I was young, when I saw the elements, I always can see monsters out of the elements. So that's why when I play Pokemon Go, I was wondering if I can turn each Pokemon like an element, and they have the characters of each inside each monsters. That would be great. So for example, if you select Sodian and Corin, and they will combine into salt, and they will become like a salt attacked. So at least like people can start learning something new just by playing. So that's kind of the concept of the game. And people can kind of like share, and then kind of like share their monster, similar to Pokemon Go, but I mean it's kind of like the concept. Yeah, because we all know that STEM is really boring. Like science, if you want to learn everything on the textbook, is really boring. So that's why like this is the concept, and using XR. Because later on, I'm going to do like AI scanning the room, and you can generate the monster on your own. So for example, if AI, Bleep AR. Bleep AR is basically using the camera function and kind of detect the world object and generate some text. And I was thinking about getting all the data and mixed another new monster so people can catch it and rename it, so they can pretty much create their own monsters in this, in their everyday life. So that's my initial thoughts. So I want to ask you, like, Ankik, if you have like some ideas, and you can pretty much use AR, VR to kind of like make it fun. Because we all know that the normal app design or web design is pretty much 2D, right? Since we got the extra Z space, then how can we kind of enhance people's experience through this extra Z space, right? Because right now you can pretty much put a 3D object in a room and you can kind of walk around about it. So how can people benefit from that extra dimension? So I think that's why we really need AR, VR, because that can kind of like open our sense rather than just flat paper, right? So that's That's how I see AR VR. Because I usually tell people that, hey, if your stuff is not really like, if the concept, the AR VR didn't really enhance your original concept, then let's kill AR VR. Because it's first, the development might be much more expensive because, you know, like everything needs to be 3D or at least inside space. So the development will be much expensive. And second, there's no need to put everything in VR if you don't really, like your concept is not aligning with like enhance people's experience. So I want to ask you, like, yeah, like your storytelling is cool. You put a 3D model inside a space, but what else? What else can I get? Right? I mean, like your lighting is cool. I mean, my background is graphic designer, so when I saw your stuff, for me, I cannot do it. So yeah, your 3D model skills are better than me. But what else can I get? What else can the player get? Who's your target audience? And when your target audience get the app, and what can they do about it? They just like go around and see the art, or they can interact. And what can they learn after they interact with your art? So that's my question.
Yeah, so for pretty much for now, like there's nothing which I have in my mind for this particular project. But one thing which I was actually getting stuck was, so this is just I have started. So this was like my very first thing which I have did. So like now if I want to add like more character, but I want to add it like when user touch, it has to be spawned. It has to be spawned like every time new character or something. So at that particular time, like I need to learn coding for this, right? So is there any other way without learning coding if I can implement
Oh, you
those
know
things?
what? A lot of people ask me this question, and my background is graphic designer. Like, and I learned a lot of UX UI, and I think 8 years ago I became a UX UI designer. And then back in 2015, I fall in love with AR VR because I believe that the extra dimension really help people to learn more, experience more. So I start learning it. And at the beginning, I have the same concept as you. I don't want to code. I just don't want to do things that related to development because I'm not a developer. That's my first thought. So that's why I went to LinkedIn and I was trying to get some inspiration. And I think like, oh yeah, I saw a lot of, you know, like current leader like Ellen Smithen or Charlie Fink. I saw them like keep posting stuff. So I was thinking about, yeah, maybe I can start generating content on social media. So that's my first initial approach. So that's why back in 2017, I start to create content. And first time I didn't know how to create content. So I bought a bunch of books like Charlie Fink's Metaverse or like some other people's like AR VR books. I went to Amazon and I list a bunch of books and I purchased all of them and I started reading. And then after reading all those books, I start coming up with some, you know, some thoughts that, yeah, maybe I can start talking about it. So that's why I had my phone at the first time and I started recording some short like talk show. For example, like today I read this book and what I got from the book. So it's more like condensed version of the book and putting some of my thoughts. So I start posting on LinkedIn. And after, I think the first 6 months, nobody was watching it. No likes. It's just me keep like, you know, keep like looking at my own posts. So there's no traction. Yeah. So that time I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't want to just like repeat other people's thoughts. So that's why I was thinking about what can I do as a designer? And then one day I bought a book called Unity Beginner for Beginners. So I was thinking about, yeah, I mean, I think by teaching back to the society, I can learn more. So during that time, I still got another full-time job in another AR agency. So pretty much I use Saturday and Sunday. Like I kind of like make my whole Saturday is the learning Unity day, because I find out that just for talking, I don't want to be the person who just know how to talk. Like I just get some information and I start talking. I don't want to be someone like that. I want to have more, foundations. So that's why I bought the book, and I told myself, that's fine, I'm not a developer, but I can start learning it. I can kind of, maybe in the future, I can come up with ideas and work with developers. So I have to learn the development in order to communicate with my developer. So that's my first thought. And I bought the book, and then there are 24 chapters in the book. So I was thinking about, if every Saturday I can finish one chapter, then after 24 days, after 24 weeks, I can finish the whole book, and I can knock out the whole beginner level just within probably 6 months, right? Like 6 months, I can finish the whole book, and I will have like the kind of like beginner level of Unity. So that's what I really want to do at the beginning. So every Saturday, I kind of like read, for example, like a Unity, like the interface explorer. So like I read for 4 hours in the morning, and 12 o'clock, I rest a little bit, and start from 1 o'clock, I teach back. I told myself I have to learn things really fast and teach back, like at the same day. So I don't waste my time, right? But by doing this, and I spend like 2 to 3 hours to record the whole process, teaching back, right? So I learn for 4 hours, and afternoon I teach back for 4 hours, and I post on LinkedIn or on my YouTube video. So I start from that. And after I think half a year, I start building up my skills. I mean, you cannot, like those skills, you see like a developer, it takes 10 years to be a professional developer, right? The expertise, like development become your expertise. So I didn't expect myself to be an expert, but I want to know the basics. So that's why I spent 6 months just to build my basics and bought a book and chapter. Every Saturday, I read little chapter, and I start building my skills. And after learning Unity, I feel like, oh, I need to learn more about 3D, because 3D, Unity, and then like the concept is kind of hand in hand. You cannot separate each one. So so I start learning a little bit 3D at that time. And during that time, I remember I joined a lot of hackathon, and then game jam, because I kind of want to like contribute myself as a UX UI designer in the game. Because I always told myself there's a negative or like some culture thought that first, hey, my background is not developer, so that's keep like my learning as just like for hobby. And I didn't even think that later on I can develop an iOS app on my own and launch on the App Store. That's the later on thing. But during that time, I was like, I want to learn more about how to create a game. So I joined a lot of game jam, and I joined hackathon. I thought I had like 3 hackathons so far. And the first 2, I was UX UI designer for the hackathon, and I designed like interface, come up with ideas that was inside my comfort zone, because I love doing those. But the third one, I remember when I went there, I asked a bunch of developers. They told me that, hey, we've already got a team, so we don't need you. I was like, okay, I was about to go home, but wait, hey, at the end, I feel like, hey, actually the SDK and then all the code, I told myself I probably can finish the app at the end on my own. So just because of that thoughts, I was like, let's try it. It's like 24 hours. Let's knock it out. If like my goal is to finish an app. And then at the end, I think I work, and then both AR company, they had some like senior developer. If they didn't talk with other people. They just help me to debug my code. So I think after 24 hours, I finished an app and I couldn't even believe that I can code and I can finish a Bose AR glass app. And I think at the end, they kind of gave me an honorable mention award for the hackathon. So I got huge encouragement that, hey, gosh, I can code. I didn't accept that concept that I'm a developer. And I was like, holy shit, I can code. So that's why this year, January, because I ran a desk in WeWork in Santa Monica. So I got chance to meet a lot of different people. And one of the person suggests me to hey, SpaceX, they are going to launch 2 astronauts to, ISS. Why not you make another, AR app just to do the rocket simulation and send to those 2 astronauts to space ISS, and it's going to launch around May or June. So you have like half a year to make the app. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I can do that. So that's why I started working. Like literally, I had an Excel sheet, and I have my every weekly goal. Like first, like I divided my Excel sheet like different week. For example, today is like August 15th to August 24th. Like I have like different section and I have different goals, and I have different, like if I accomplish the goal, I put 100%. If I didn't, I put if I kind of accomplish 70%, I put 70. So every week I can clearly see all my goals and the percentage that I achieved. So that's how I kind of like breaking down, because, I think Will Smith said that if you want to build a wall, don't think that I need to build a wall immediately. Think about how I can lay each brick perfectly each time, right? So I think for me, I start with something that I can do. And then later on, I start with something that a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but I still can do, right? It's like you just keep showing up. You just keep doing, and you forget about all your failure. All people, like a lot of people will say to you like, hey, this is like a XR, you don't have any development experience, you don't have 3D experience, you like, this is not for you. I mean, I put all the thoughts behind my back. I just keep learning. And I think this June, I think 2 months ago, I just launched my first iOS app that I developed on my own. Yeah, on the iOS store. That's my kind of like a milestone. And right now on July, because I got a lot of feedback for the app, and people told me that, hey, Dao, when I play it one time, I don't want to play it again. So that's why I feel like my concept is really weak. So I went back to the drawing board and I did the presentation deck and think about the business concept and how can I create something that really useful for people, rather than just, another face filter. A face filter, people take photo. There are too many face filters right now. So I feel like I want to do something that people can keep doing it, keep learning it, keep coming back. And then, so that's why I create that AR science game. And later on, I want to launch probably next year or 2 years from now. And then I have my whole plan ahead of me. And I have my Excel sheet, like a long-term goal, 3 years goal, 1 year goal, 1 month goal, everyday goal. So I think there might be, all you need to do is to break down your goal. Like, can I ask you, like, what's your goal for 3 years from now? What do you envision yourself? And then you start breaking down into like this year, what you should do, accomplish. Next year, and the third year, what you should do. And start using Excel sheet, or I don't know what program you use, but I use Excel sheet. and you start breaking down like, oh, right now it's August, right? What August your goal, your September goal, your October goal, your November goal, your December goal, right? And then what you want to achieve, right? And then this down like what percentage you've already achieved. So I think if you can, every day you know your direction is right, then you will finally achieve your goal. So yeah, so that's how I kind of do things. Yeah.
That was like really inspiring. Yeah, definitely I'm going to do it for like after this call itself. Yeah. Yeah, like
I
breaking
think
down the bigger goals into bits and chunks, and then like doing it one by one, so that like
yeah.
later after 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, I can have like the entire goal completed. Yeah.
Yes. Because every time, like I haven't thought I can code. Like I think 2 years ago, I always told myself, yeah, like, like every time when I saw people like accomplish like, oh, they can code some super cool stuff, I feel frustrated. I feel like I have to finish it or like learn the coding within one day. That's a lot of pressure. Nobody can do that, right? If you break it down into 1 year or 3 years, right? If you make the timeline a little longer and you have your goal, and don't look at other people's like a high achievement. You just compare to yourself yesterday. If you are better than your yesterday, then you are good. If you didn't learn anything, like some people said that, oh, every day is a blank day. But actually, if every day you kind of didn't really learn anything, today and yesterday, there's no difference. You're just wasting your time if you don't learn things, right? So it's best to kind of track your process and then break down your goal into something that you can do. For example, like right now, what's your goal in 3 months?
Um, for now, like I actually want to like get into UX, XR UX. So I'm planning to get some sort of boot camp or something which can help me out with learning UX for XR. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is like
Yeah, I want to ask you like as for UX for XR, I think NUI, right? Natural user interface. Use voice command and the hand gestures, right? Those types of user experience. Those, or you kind of just want to start to learn.
like I want to start learning from like basics. Like I'm not that good with UX.
Okay, so
Right.
as far as if you want like some of my suggestion, I would say that first find some books, because right now this area is pretty new. There's no rules. Pretty much, I read a book I think a year ago. It says that if you want to master in VR AR experience, the best way is to jump in and start doing things and start experience on your own, because this is not just like a target audience, that thing. It's like you need to forget about UX UI in order to jump into immersive technology, which means that whatever I learned for UX UI is not really applied to the new technology. It's like you know how to do the photography, but if you want to make a movie, that's another whole story. I mean, that helps, like each different frames. But if you want to have like a different experience, you probably, it's good to have, but you have to change your mind because the media is changing. So I think the book says that it's better to get your hands dirty and just jump in, because we are all human beings. Whatever experience you don't feel good will apply to other human beings. Is that right? Yeah, because for example, if the screen is too close to you, right, and you don't feel comfortable, I believe everyone, when they use your software, they won't feel comfortable. So yourself is the best user in VR space. So the best way is to just coding it experience it, change it in Unity, and start kind of like just make your hands dirty and just make sure like you experience well. Because if you feel good using your own software or using your AR VR software, then other people will have the same feeling. So yeah, so what I suggest is that you can learn, of course, like join a lot of like different boot camps or like online learning. But the bad thing is not just sit there and listen. The best thing is to just get your hands dirty and start mixing something. And you will learn that more than just sit there. Because right now there's no rules. I mean, there will be some rules. For example, like it's better to have like a 1 meter, you know, in Unity it's 1, right? You use 1 meter and put your screen there. So, you know, this is kind of a good distance for people to look at the spatial screen. And then like the voice command, the gesture, there are some rules and people start figuring out those rules. But I would say that why not you jump in and start experience things, because you might discover something. Like I remember one time I listened to one speaking like in one speaking event, the all space person, she said that like they had the customer service and they find out that they got a lot of feedback from people using all space, right? For example, like, oh, I don't like, they add different functions or they add different buttons according to all the feedbacks from their current user, and they make it really good. Like you can do the world editing and you can do like different live events in all space, and they are making everything better. Just keep working on it and getting people's feedback. So I think I think it's better to start working on things. And then I think you did a really good job. You post on LinkedIn and get feedback, and the more feedback you get, and the better your vision will raise, and you can see things differently. And once you see things differently and your hands catch on, your skill catch on, you can do things differently, and you can kind of slowly build up your skills. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Just like one more question. Okay. So, how different it is, like user research and more, like for any mobile app and doing user research and wireframing for VR, and what kind of tools you use for prototyping and wireframing for VR?
Yeah, I think as for VR, user research is really good, because like we all do like a user research at the beginning when we do like the website app design. It's really good to know your target audience first, right? So I would say the user research is similar to UX UI in web app design, but later on when you jump in, I would say when I do the mockup, I use Unity, because I use Unity to mock up, or I use Sketch to kind of like frame, because usually I do AR. I do more AR than VR, so I use Sketch. Do you know Sketch?
Yeah, I know Sketch.
Yeah, Sketch. Yeah, I use Sketch to mock up, or Mockup Plus. Do you know Mockup Plus?
No.
Mockup Plus is kind of like a software that helps you. Maybe I can share my screen. Yeah, I can share my screen. Maybe I can share the whole process. Mockup Plus. Hold on a second. Yeah, I use Sketch, and this software, I think it's really cool to kind of organize your mind. Mockup Plus. I do AR more, so I tell you like what I did for AR. And as for VR, maybe there are some people who are more experienced in VR, they can share with you. But what I did for my game jam in VR, I use Unity. and probably like pen and pencil and trying to sketch out some concept. Okay, so yeah. So usually I have a deck. I have two decks for my game. One is pitch deck. Pitch deck is to kind of communicate with someone who has business background and see the opportunity of this game, whether this game can generate revenue or not. This is important, right? And second one is more internal deck. Internal deck is more like user experience research. For example, like the mission, tagline, competitor analysis, and then target audience, and then business model, and then start with the IA, information architecture. And then after IA, I will do the wireframe. After wireframe, I will do the high fidelity mockup. So yeah, let's see whether I can open this one for you. Okay, so I can share with you open demo. Yeah, this one I'm just, okay, so let me share with you. Where is the sharing button? Yeah, I need to, oh, here. Okay, great. Okay, share my screen. Can you see my screen right now?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so this is more AR. Yeah, so what I did was like, okay, I put a landing. Okay, so at the beginning, I put all the features that I want. For example, landing, story, payment system, share, profile setting. Yeah, so like monster index, custom monsters. So I lay out the big structure first. And then second, like landing, onboarding, right? Oh, I wanna like a daily check-in. You get in and you kind of get some gifts. Okay, then home. Yeah. And home, I want to have like two stories. One is the story part, and you have portal door. You can go to the reality, which is AR mode, or you can go to the story mode. Similar to Ghostbuster, they have two modes. So I kind of want to have like two modes. And then battle, which is in AR mode. So you can see previously I show you the battle. So I kind of use cards, and this is kind of like enemy bars, and you can shoot. Yeah, and then you see like, this is kind of like in my wireframe. I just like, put all my thoughts in and kind of trying to organize it. But yeah, I was thinking about soul attacked. So it's like, yeah, and win. What did you get? Yeah, so it's really rough. And menu, when you open it, what will it come out? Like a shop, monster index, inventory, leaderboard. Yeah, and then some payment system. I haven't done anything, but you kind of need to lay out if you want to make an app. You need to start laying out all the feature first. And under each feature, what will it be? And probably some arrow state later on. Kind of like start from big and start chunking and start making small things. Yeah, and then you will eventually get there. So this is kind of like my wireframe approach, and I have two decks. I mean, I have another event on September 5th. Yeah, like Saturday. Yeah, it's like it's the Starshine process share. So yeah, I will share more stuff on the event, because I don't want to take too much time of this event. I know this event is more workshop and give feedback. So yeah, yeah, the next one is Abel, right? Abel, do you want to share your screen and show us your project and see whether we can, like what feedback we can give to you? Abel? Abby? Sorry, let me see.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hey, what's up?
Hey, do you want to share your project and
Yeah.
we can all give you feedback?
Yeah, of course. Would you like to see the prototype, or would you like to see the...
Just show me. Just tell me your story. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have this BMC, right? I have it as a PDF. I'll send it. I actually updated it on the on the Google Sheet doc.
Do you want to share screen? Because I make everyone can share their screen. So you can pretty much share your screen and tell us like a little bit about your project, and we can all give you feedback.
Yeah, right. Just so like a quick overview. Yeah, hold on. Can you see my screen now, Dom, or?
No. Do you know there's a green button?
Yeah, I see that, but oh, hold on. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I've been working on this BMC for a mobile app. It's a potential mobile app where users could use it as a platform to bring awareness and also use it for funding, and then also for distribution and management for artists. So like say if you're a DJ or if you're a musician and you need some kind of funding or you need distribution or management or what have you, right? This app is for that. So it's basically like a tool for artists to resolve their problems. That's what I have in mind right now. So let me open up this this BMC here. So this is the BMC that we went over last week, and then I basically applied whatever I learned from last week to here, right? So here's like the introduction page, and then here's the BMC here. So here are my value propositions, right? It's going to be a mobile app. It's going to be used for funding, right? And of course, it's going to be used for distribution, all that good stuff. What is it going to be used for? It's going to be used for funding and entertainment. How is it different, right? It's going to be different because it's going to have a live video feed, right? It's going to have a live video feed of the musician playing, kind of like TikTok, right? So like just picture a musician playing in real time and with video, right? where where the moderator could basically look at this musician and basically pledge them, right? So they could send like $100 or $200 until that pledge gets met, like say like $5,000, right? So anyways, there's gonna be a live video feed, and then there's gonna be app store fees, once it gets deployed on the Apple Store, or if not Google Play Store, right? So there's some of the fees behind that. Customer relations, self-service, and then here's the channels where my app is gonna bring awareness to. So social media, all the basic stuff, brand website, app stores. It's kind of similar to yours, Dom. Since both we have mobile app. I mean, we're both could be developing mobile apps, right? So it's kind of similar to yours. There's gonna be partner websites, app stores, brand website, social media, and then here's some of my customer segments. So like the demographics and stuff. So who's it gonna be for, right? So it's gonna be for musicians, students, schools, and record label companies. Here's my revenue streams. How am I gonna generate or get revenue, right? So there's gonna be like a freemium kind of business model, right? And then also it's gonna be subscription based. So there's gonna be basically 3 tiers for the subscription. So it's gonna be like a 30-day trial type of thing, right? And then thereafter 30 days, the user would get charged like $50 or not, I'm sorry, not 50, $5, right? And there's gonna be basically 3 tiers. So one will be like the lowest bandwidth, right, for artists. And then the second one would be, of course, you know, a higher bandwidth and so on and so forth. So like the second tier would probably be like $10. And then the third tier would be like $15 or whatever. And then, you know, there's going to be in-app advertising as well. And then also pledge.
Can I ask you a question? What's the app about? For example, like what's the current marketing problem and who's the target users? What unique solution do you provide through this app? Like those 3 questions, do you have?
Yeah, so, you know, I'm kind of stuck on that part, honestly. If anything, it'll probably be like a unique user experience. Like how is it different from other you know, funding sites, right? So it's a little bit different in terms of like the experience part.
Yeah, I mean, I saw your business model and it's kind of like a normal app, like the business model that I can accept, but I want to know your product. What's your product, right? I saw your logo and I saw a kind of musician, but I want to know like what does this app do? Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought I explained myself earlier. Like, what does it actually do?
Yeah. I mean, you didn't say anywhere inside your slide. Maybe you can put some slide at the beginning. Yeah. Like for example, like usually what I would ask is that, okay, so what's the industry problem?
Got it.
Like what's the problem out there and you are going to solve, right? What's the problem? And second is that who's your target audience?
Gotcha.
Yeah. And maybe you can come up with like 3 personas. For example, like if you want to target, I don't know, musician or the audience, then what's the 3 archetype of like personality, like girl, like what's the age, right? What's their job? What's their income? What's their technology? What's their mantra? Or like what's their personality? I want to see those, right? And then maybe later on, I want to see like, okay, so who's the competitor, right? What's the competitor out of market, right? And then later on, after I know the competitor, and I want to see how you solve this problem uniquely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to see all those in order for me to envision, because your business canvas, it feels like, yeah, it's normal app. Any app kind of like go towards this side, and I'm totally okay with this. I think this is great. But what I want to see is that what's your product, right? Your business, you come up with the business and it's all good, right? It's like, oh, you have your channel funnel and you know the whole business structure. But the key question is what's the product?
Got it.
Yeah.
So I created a pitch deck and
Yeah.
it answers those exact same questions that you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to switch to your pitch deck?
Yeah, let me do that.
Yeah, great.
This is my first rodeo on the pitch deck. So, I mean, I don't really have a lot of experience when it comes to business.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
So I'm kind of like learning here as I'm going. But I'm learning a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I don't know how to do pitch deck, but I kind of learned as I go. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, I know how to design and stuff like that. I have a lot of background in like marketing, advertising. You know, I've been in the marketing and advertising world for like 10-some years. But my weak spot is basically the business side. So right now I'm focusing on that, the business aspect. But slowly but surely, I'm kind of like, you know, getting.
Yeah, I mean, later on, maybe I can share with you some of my pitch deck. Like, my game pitch deck. And I know that one is not perfect, but you can see the structure, and maybe later on you can watch the recorded video and you probably can add some slides for it. Yeah, if you want, because I kind of learn from other people's pitch deck, and I kind of get some consultation from professional like consultant for business. So yeah, so yeah. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So let me get to the problem solution, right?
Yeah.
What you were questioning earlier. So
yes.
Here's my pitch deck introduction. This is perform in real time and get funded for your next big performance, right? And then here's the problem, right? So here are all the problems that I outline here. So funding is important for struggling artists when performing live. Awareness for artists is a bit discouraging just by word of mouth. Distribution is never easy when working with record labels. And then management to be booked for a show is mundane and inefficient. So that's my problem. And then here are my solutions I have outlined here.
Yeah.
Right. So here's my solution: a mobile app for artists to use backers to help out with money. So backers pledge funds, and then awareness users will share artists, distribution, users purchase directly, and then management users can book artists. So those are my problem solution.
Yeah, and then do you have the current marketing? Yeah. Oh, I see.
Here's my market validation. Here's GoFundMe.com, 50 million users, and then Kickstarter.com, 17 million, users.
Yeah. So what's the like mission statement, or like using one sentence to describe your business? Like for example, my game is Pokemon Go for science education.
Okay.
So what's yours?
I think I highlighted it here. So it's perform, well, not necessarily, but it's kind of vague, right? Perform real time, in real time and get funded for your next performance. I mean, I didn't really think that one through.
I remember there's an app, I forget the name, but there's an app which kind of like get like a small celebrity to get funded. For example, you want like a tutoring or life experience, you can kind of like, there are a lot of like, similar to, I don't know, TikTok or Snapchat, but they have their website and apps, and you can kind of book a piano lesson with some small celebrities, and you pay like $6 for like an hour, and then you can get a lesson live or listen to the person live. So I think there might be a really good like a inspiration, or they might be your competitors. So you need to find them out, like who is doing these things, because I believe there are a lot of like, especially COVID-19 period, there are a lot of these types of business model, like connect people live and using like video platform to get people donate. Especially if you go to like a lot of Chinese app, they have a lot of like 博主, for example, like, oh, I am the YouTuber, or I am the, like the influencer. And then how can I generate money through those interaction between my fans and I? And I kind of perform live, like in my house, and I got like the money. I don't know whether this is your thoughts or not, but when I saw this, I kind of think that's probably the way you are going to. Is that right? Or I don't know.
Yes and no. I mean, it's kind of like 50-50 type of thing.
And do you have any, like, for example, like competitor, maybe 3 to 5 competitors?
Competitor be like, let's see, GoFundMe or Kickstarter, any of like the crowd, or like, some of the funding websites. But the thing is about mine, it's more of a niche market, right? So it's basically focusing on musicians and DJs and like artists and stuff like that. So it's more of a niche market, but still, again, its primary reason is to like to give funding for artists and stuff like that, struggling artists.
Okay, and next.
And then here's my market size. This is just a really rough market size, right? So this is just like something really rough. I didn't really think it through, but I put $1 billion profited through funding, dollars received on subscriptions, and then users and artists, 50 million. And then here's the product. So here's the login screen. And then here's the sign up page. So if they click on, you know, the sign up there, then it'll take them directly to this page, and that's what they'll sign up. Or they could upload the avatar, right?
Yeah, right.
And then of course fill out all their information if needed. And then here's the distribution part. If an artist wants to sell their music, a supporter could then, you know, purchase their music using my platform. And then here's the live video feed that I was telling you about. I think I showed you this before, right, Dom?
I didn't remember. Yeah, that's fine. You keep showing.
Yeah. So anyways, here's the live video feed, and then, you know, it's gonna have like a chat room there. So if you click on the message box there, a backer could send them a message directly and then say, hey, you know what, you're killing it, you know, you're doing a great job or whatever. And then, you know, there's a pledge button, so a user could then pledge if they would like, in order to meet that goal there of like $100,000. But it's not going to be $100,000, right? But, you know, it's just something like really rough. But if that pledge gets funded right, then the user, or not the user, but the artist will get charged like 5%, right? So it's basically like a fee, kind of like all the other, you know, funding websites out there. Kind of the same business model.
And then do you have other screens?
Yeah, so here's my business model. So I said, you know, we take 5% out of the pledge being funded. $84 million are profited through pledges, and then average fee with a 30-day trial subscription would be like $15, right? And then revenue projected for the year 2021 is 200.
Yeah.
$200 million. I actually don't typo there, but it was supposed to be $1 million.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not gonna be 200. That'd be kind of ridiculous, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Next slide.
And then here's my market adoption. You know, here's the events, and then partnerships, and then Kickstarter, two-way process.
Okay. So what I want to say, like, what's the next one? Yeah.
Here's my competition. I didn't really think this one through. So it's
I think you might need to do the research for your competitors.
Yeah,
I think that's important because you need to see your market position.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one's obviously not really thought through yet. So
Okay.
I just put entertaining part.
Yeah, I think this is really important because you need to know your competitor and you need to know your audience, like the audience one. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I can share with you my deck real quick, and then we can jump to, let me see. I think Damon, right? Do you want to share your project? Hello, Damon. Yes, please. Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe I share with, because right now we are in the pitch deck mode. Then Damon, do you want to put all your information on the Excel sheet? Do you know where the Excel sheet is? Let me share with you. Oh, okay. So if you can put the information on the Excel sheet while I am presenting it, it will be great. Hey, Abel. Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I think I know you are the artist background, and I know you, and then I think you are doing a pretty good job and narrow everything down, but there are some stuff you can kind of improve. So I can can I share my screen right
Yeah,
now?
let me
Yeah,
stop. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, I might not like my pitch deck might not be the best, but it has some basic function. So I kind
Yeah,
of want to
yeah.
share with you that what my approach is.
Okay,
So
great.
yeah, great.
Right. Yeah, let me switch this over, yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we just like kind of share each other's knowledge and improve everything. Okay. So yeah, Damon, you can keep working on the Excel sheet while I kind of super quick present. I mean, this I supposed to present on September 5th. And I just like, it's fine. I just presented earlier. So this is my presentation. I mean, I still need to revise it, but yeah, this is kind of like overall structure. First one is that, oh, this is Pokemon Go for science education. So each pitch is like 5 minutes. So I will I will finish it within 5 minutes. So this is a little bit about me. And then Abel, if you want to kind of like do it, because this is kind of like one of my business mentor, he gave me the whole structure of pitch deck. So this is a solid pitch deck structure. Yeah, so if you want to kind of like doing some notes, you can do it and make sure you have all those elements in. Okay, so this is, who are you? Who are we? Yeah, so this is me. So I just put some bullet point. Yeah, I have like a product design experience and I can code. I just launched my first AR space game, iOS game on the App Store. Yeah, and then what's the current problem? Yeah, so right now we find out that middle and high school students have learning, like they use the traditional way, so it's really boring. So that's why we kind of want to make everything fun. So the solution is that, yeah, like learning and playing, we want to maximize the learning and playing. Because right now, if you play, you didn't learn anything. And you learn stuff, you kind of get bored and you forget right away, right? So I think I want Starshine to be like Pokemon Go, right? You play Pokemon Go and you learn everything from all the Pokemon monster, but you still can get something out of it. Not just like, oh, I got a Pikachu and I remember everything about Pikachu, but Pikachu couldn't really help me on my studies. So we kind of want to, combine those two. And then Starshine allows teenagers to explore. So we kind of want to make like a Pokemon Go for science. For example, like you play a super high entertaining and addictive games and you learn something from it. Yeah, so this is the marketing size, right? So we have 76 billion and 200 like in those mobile game industry and 200 million mobile gamers, and it's expected to grow. And Pokemon Go is kind of like our model. And then we can see like they have 3 billion users. I know those are kind of like a big picture and we are working towards it. Yeah, okay. So who's the target audience? Target audience is the middle school, like teenagers from 12 to 17 who love science, who love creativities, and they love like friendly competition and they love sharing. And then we also want to bring females to the game. So we don't want to make it too scary for the female to play. We know that females love collecting things. For example, if you see like a lot of games, like like on Facebook, a lot of female audience actually do pay and play the game. So we want to make this game like female friendly as well. And then this is the metrics. For example, we want to make this game high educational and high entertainment, right? If you see Pokemon Go is high entertainment, but not many education elements you can get. And Minecraft, yeah, it's somewhere between like really fun and like educational. No Man's Sky, I would say that it's kind of like, you keep shooting a lot of different elements, you fix something, right? But, I learned a lot of chemistry stuff in No Man's Sky, which is crazy. And then Kerbal Space is like, oh God, this is so knowledgeable. I even watch a lot of YouTube videos and trying to learn all the knowledge from Kerbal Space. But I find out it's so hard to entertain me. It's only like nerd kid can play because they partner with NASA. Every little tiny things, it fits to aerospace knowledge. It's too hard for me. So that's why I was thinking about why not we make it so easy to access and you can learn something. Yeah. So this is financial projection. Right now, what I'm thinking about is by next year, we are going to soft launch. So by next year, we will getting some monthly users and then some spending. What I'm looking for is that maybe I can start with California, right? So it's probably around a few K, like my local area, and start kind of showing some of my stuff and then kind of generating some tractions. And then profit, unfortunately, because a lot of development stuff. So it's minus the first year. And second year, it will getting better because once we get more traction, the second year, I will be kind of already officially launched this game. So so we will get much more once everything goes. Yeah, so capital plan. So this pitch deck, the whole purpose is this deck. We need to raise for $500,000 and 88% of the money will goes to production development. Yeah, and 10% will go to marketing. I know a lot of people told me that, hey, 10% is not enough. At least you need 40%. Okay, I was thinking about, I will increase once, production is finished. So that's still debating. Okay, so this is our plan. This year, we are going to finish pitch deck. Yeah, of course, I finished it. And then game demo, I finished 70%. Attending pitch event, I already finished attending one last week. So I have like 3 to 4 more to go. And I will going for more pitch events. And story, wireframe, you see my wireframe, I kind of have some wireframe. For the game demo, I did the game mechanics. And story, I'm still working on it. Game design document, still working on it. And then we are looking for investors and partnership. If it is a good deal, we can partner. If not, I can pretty much code on my own. Yeah, pretty much for everything, I will self-taught everything. And then if not, like for the 3D model, I will go to Fiverr and get someone to do it. And game developer, pretty much I can do UX, UI strategy, and I can develop. So pretty much for me, I can finish this app without any funding, but with the funding, I can scale. Yeah, and for marketing, I have some followers, so I can get a small amount of traction, but I still need to get the product done. So next year, we will do the soft launch. And 2022, we are going to official launch and Kickstarter campaign. Some people just like thinking about if you want to do Kickstarter campaign, why you do the investment at the beginning. I think that's so true. So those are still debating. Yeah, so if I want to do Kickstarter, I don't need investment because once I launch the product, I can get the money back, right? So those are really good feedback from the last one. So I will think about it. And then this one is that my previous traction before I was selected as NASA social media influencer. So I did some work for it. So you can see how can I play? Okay, maybe this. Oh, okay. So so you can see. Yeah, okay. So this is the game demo. I probably show you. Yeah, so this is kind of like our team. So this is a super fast pitch. So able, if you kind of wanna do some structure of it, I would say probably around 12 slides and including all the stuff that I show you. And I think you are good.
Okay, great. Yeah, on my slide, I have about 15 some slides or something like that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and maybe later on I will post this recorded video, and you can kind of like go to the slide and see each different title and kind of put the structure on your slides. I think that would be helpful. Because I mean, this is like a formal one. I know it's probably not the best one, but it has everything inside. So you probably just copy the format.
That's good. That's good to know, because I actually got this from. Have you heard of Slidebean? Slidebean.
No.
So, anyways, it's basically a platform to create pitch decks, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing it based off of Airbnb's pitch deck.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I mean, that is really good because they've already had some, users, right? I remember when they start their business, they start having some, like Airbnb is like a breakfast and bed, right? So
Yeah.
Air is like Air bed. So I think that they've already had some users, and the model is kind of like, yeah, I mean, I think as for pitch deck is more, for me, is more like organizing my thoughts and then communicate with someone who doesn't have my background, but they know more about business and they have money. So that's the purpose of why I do pitch deck. And after doing pitch deck, I feel like my direction is so clear. So why not you spend 1 month? Don't jump into the execution too fast. Spend 1 month, just finalize your pitch deck. I know as artists or as doers, I consider myself a doer because I can develop, I can do UX UI. When I come up with an idea, I just want to do some demos. I feel like doing anything else business is bullshit. I feel like, oh shit, I don't want to do that. But spend 1 month, just sit down, be quiet. That's like, don't be too excited. Just think, yeah, like your competitors, right? Because I didn't see any competitors in your deck. It's just like trying to skip it. I don't like it. But doing something that outside of your comfort zone will make you grow. If you do the same thing over and over again and you didn't find it's working, then it's probably the way to switch your mind. So just think like, oh, Apple, I am a business person. Just think that, yeah, today, like this month, I will be the business person. I won't do any screens. I know your screen looks beautiful. Everything looks beautiful, but you need to narrow down the business plan first. So what I would do is that, okay, August to like mid-August to mid-September, this month, just don't do any screen. And later on, after this recorded videos, you kind of screenshot all my screens and then make sure every section inside your pitch deck, and then start putting all the content or research in. I think you will be good. Just 1 month. I finished my pitch deck in 1 month. So I believe you can do it. Okay, great. Okay, let's move on to Damon. Damon, do you want to show your stuff? You can share your screen. Yeah, great.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Just give me 1 moment, get set up here. And share screen, okay. And hopefully you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Perfect. So my question is more, I'm looking for ideas around multi-device immersive experiences. So that's what I focus a lot on. So web-based, and then also, like I said, immersive experiences that change depending upon the different peripherals you have. So for example, this was an application that internally we did at the place that I was at previously, having a little bit of fun. The idea is pretty basic, kind of like what you were saying, right? Having a character that you could place into the space. But then again, depending upon the peripheral that you had. So if you had a smartwatch, then this little AR character could jump into your watch, and then now it's a little 8-bit game like a Tamagotchi. So as you you know, go around your space, and then when you come home, you could essentially voice activate, hey, hop out. The character can jump out, run around the space and play with things. Also connect with your different IoT systems. So that way, if, you know, the lights are off, it's sleeping. If you turn the lights on, you woke it up, that kind of thing. And then also other additional peripherals where the character could play. So I guess my question is I'm looking more at who is designing applications that leverage, you know, like if the user experience is this on a mobile phone, but if you come with a phone and a tablet, then it's this. If you add a watch, then you've enhanced the experience this way. If you have smart systems, because a lot of AR, I feel right now, unfortunately, is just based on vision. And the idea of immersion can come to our physical spaces and then a lot of other smart peripherals around us. So my first, I guess, question is, who have you seen, or what do you recommend as far as if someone wants to start looking at more of these cross-device experiences? Do you suggest? So that would be the first question.
Yeah. First question, I think cross-device is absolutely a really, really good concept, because right now you see every AR, VR device or software, they are standalone, right? They kind of like kingdoms, they occupy a certain part. But recently the trend is to merge everything. For example, like AR Foundation, they kind of merge everything so you can export to different, if you develop AR Foundation, you can export to different device. Right now, what I would ask is, who's your target audience?
Well, for this, it's different ones. My main focus is on enterprise. So this was actually one of the few applications I could actually show because it's entertainment and not relevant to what I do on a daily basis. So the main thing is I guess the first is the person who owns the phone, right? Mobile first, because that's in everyone's pocket. And then from there, you know, it's as I mentioned, right? It's who has then, oh, well, I have a tablet or I have a HoloLens 2. And so how can I instantiate objects, but not just have a HoloLens app? How can I grab assets, make a gesture where I like throw it, and now it's on my phone. I flick it, now it's on my TV. And so that's what I'm saying is this idea of how, depending upon the device you have. So if I have an AR phone, and then all of this can be web-based, right, using WebSockets or things like that. But from a design aspect, I'm looking at, if I have a web page, I have a QR code, you can scan that. Now we're synced together. You can go into AR. I can have interactive 3D. I can just be manipulating what I want. You're using SLAM and have placed it in the space. You know, Ankit comes over. He has a HoloLens, or, you know, whatever glasses may come out in the future. And you know, he scans the QR code. He's looking at it in his AR space, but then everyone else walks in the room. And then we push it to a television that has a web browser and can run WebGL, right? So now you have this multi-device experience that, depending upon the peripheral, or if like, say, Dominique, you had a smartwatch that has a browser on it, because they do, you know, and then, you know, you're now, that's an additional control. So I'm trying to figure out, and you know, just, this is open for anyone if they want to connect now or later. But just the thought exercises around what do these multi-device experiences look like? Because I feel right now everything is very much built for one specific thing.
Yes.
And what we find in enterprise, more than, you know, in entertainment's a little bit different, but at least in enterprise is people say, hey, I have to have it, you know, at least on this first, but then everything else next. So
yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because for my game, I use AR mobile, right? But I know 2 years later, Apple is going to launch their Apple Glass, right?
And
so,
well, a few people are, so that's the exciting
yeah,
thing.
it's really exciting, but I don't know whether they will launch it or not. But for me, I would think that mixed reality or glass might be the next thing. I don't know whether this is true or not, but you see, from mobile to AR glass, it's much easier, right? Then, like, I mean, VR is great, but I think start from mobile to AR glass, that might be much easier. Yes, the transformation. And I know there's watch and there's phone, right? But I think AR glass probably can kind of wrap up the phone and watch experience. So that's what I do. Like when I do AR stuff, I always think of glass experience. Yeah, so you see glass, you can do the gesture, right? So, I mean, right now, I feel like, yeah, I mean, maybe watch and phone, they are kind of old device that people like Apple kind of like trying to upgrade everything and start making AR glass. I know right now we have Unreal, we have HoloLens, we have a lot of stuff. But once Apple launched the AR glass, I believe like 50% of the marketing will go towards Apple glass because they've already had user and people get used to use those. So you see like, and then at the beginning, if you see Unreal, pretty much they have a USB wire and link up to your phone first. So if Apple Glass is kind of sync up with your phone, then I think maybe what I would do is that, because right now our technology is not there yet. Like in your description, like, oh, I swipe something and stuff go to another device. Right now, we are not there yet.
Well,
but
if I may, Dominique, we actually are there, and I only say that because I've done it. And others, right? The thing is that a lot of this stuff is very researchy, or if it is being done, because to your point, the glass isn't out yet. So I guess my from a design perspective, so pretend like the coding part of it's figured out. The problem right now is the design experience. Okay. And this is the problem that I and then some others that have been in the space, because I've been in interactive 3D for 20 years, and I've only been doing VR since 2007 and AR since 2009. So nowhere near as long as some of the folks I know. But the issue isn't the technology side of it; it's the design side, right? That's why I'm in here, is because I want to learn from you and then the other designers that are in here, because we've made this work. I've made it work where I can push a gesture, but the design is shit because I'm not a good designer. That's why I'm trying to learn. And I've met with, you know, I've fortunately here in San Francisco and being in the industry for a while, I've been able to connect with, you know, lead UX UI people, but they focus on one specific element, right? They're either focused on web design, which is very flat. They're focused on VR, or they're focused on AR. But when you look at responsive design, because the web is getting more XR based, right? We're able to add VR and AR features to our websites and things. So what does responsive design look like when it's not just here's my website on desktop or here's my website on mobile, but here it's, I just plugged in to my phone, my glasses, and then how does that come up? What does the hamburger menu look like when you go from flat to this? And so that whole experience, so if I may humbly submit, is that I would ask, please think less about what technically is possible and more from the design user experience, your thoughts there.
Yeah, I would say that maybe start with some demo, right? For example, like you have a small game, like maybe like an AR pad, right? You can start making like some scenarios. For example, like, like very narrow down. Like, for example, like, oh, today I am going to do a small game demo for probably like a 10 years old boy and having a dinosaur in the kitchen or in the living room or in the bedroom. Like super small, narrow scenario like this. And then, so we start thinking about what this boy will do. Right? Start from niche. Like thinking about one small story, like super small, that you can do. So for example, this boy has a watch. This boy has, you know, usually according to research, that kids usually get the really bad form, like the second, like a really old phone demo, like a device from their parents. So their phone probably like iPhone 6 S or iPhone 7. Right? And their watch, they probably don't have a watch, right? So you can start narrowing down the device. So you can probably have a really shitty phone and probably you have a TV, right? So how can you make this boy feels that, oh, this dinosaur is always with me, right? And what will the kids say? For example, like 10 years old, he probably can do the simple voice command, right? And maybe make the real user, maybe you have like a niece or someone who is like 10 years old, and you can start like mapping out, like maybe start from his thoughts. Like we usually do personas. For example, like, oh, this 10 years boy, like like maybe he lives in San Francisco and maybe he loves science, right? So we start diving into his interest and make this pad kind of match his, because at the end we are designing for human. So
yeah, well, I do get, you know, identify with the user and then reverse engineer from designing for the user. What I guess I'm curious about, and you know, and again, this is a new area for a lot of people because the web hasn't been where it is now. Right. So, I mean, you know, people have been doing VR and AR design for decades, but finding this way of responsive web design when you incorporate the immersive technologies and then actual physical spaces. So how can I play a game, like I said, or how do you make a game where in your Pokemon game, when you do whatever with the character, you know, it's talking to your smart lights, right? And then your lights flicker on and off, right? So that's what I'm saying is what I'm trying to explore. Is that there are enough general principles, right? So like for web design, yes, of course, if you're going to build, you have to know who is your user for your website, but there are enough just general good guidelines on how to build a web page. Doesn't matter if it's for your user, you're putting it up, you know, there's enough of a basis. So I guess that's what I'm looking for, those that want to start the conversation or have good ideas as far as they begin to look at how do I expose a user to a flat right interface and an experience, and then if they have where they want to go into AR VR, because I'm not building games, right? I'm building enterprise solutions, so my stuff's not fun. It has to actually solve a problem, and then it has to usually be in very change resistant industries. So the user experience needs to be pretty smooth. It needs to be one of those things to where if someone's done it on a phone or a tablet every day at work for the past 3 months, that then when they finally get a chance to put on a HoloLens or an Nreal or Apple Glass, that the transition of that is smooth in the user experience in the UI, right? They're not having to refigure out, just like we did with responsive design from laptop to mobile, right? So I guess that's more of if you come across in the future or something, I'm pretty easy to find online, or my contact details are in your form. And please do share, because one, there is a lot of opportunity from the enterprise sector, because a lot of the folks are going this way, because to be quite honest, in enterprise, VR, AR applications don't add enough value by themselves, but they do make great features. And so with that, those experienced designers who know how to say, well, wait a second, I'm not just a VR and AR person. I can also do the 2D, 3D integration stuff, and then have the VR, AR as well. And as I find more of those people, because to your point, that is the way that it's going, because that's what's happening now. But where are those designers? Because I'd love to go and sit in and learn from them and those types of things, because again, I've done it, but it doesn't mean I'm good at it, right? You can do something for a very long time and make it work, but it doesn't mean that it's pretty or people enjoy it or things like that.
I mean, I would say that there are not, like right now, I believe a lot of schools, they are like integrating AR, VR stuff, but it's still in the early age that a designer would say, oh, I'm specialized in XR. People from different backgrounds. It's like a film at the beginning. Nobody would say I'm a filmmaker, right? Like when the camera, like people start filming stuff like at the beginning. So what I would say is that maybe your designer can come from different background, right? And then we can have a team and then sit and brainstorm. So first I would ask, like, what's the like problem you want to solve, and who's the target audience, right? And then once we can find out those two, we can pretty much narrow down the scenario, the whole story, and then the device. And then we can start using their mentality and start working on the flow. Because I believe enterprise, it's like using XR to make novelty become expert. It's a really good way for entrepreneur to save the cost of training new people. So once you wear the HoloLens, anyone can do like the expertise stuff without, you know, any previous training. So that might be a really good the point. Like for example, like, oh, we need to solve, like Tesla, they will already integrate the kind of like AR into their mechanics, like for their car like engineer. So yeah, they've already integrated that. So when the car drives in, the person, the engineer already has the information about the car and what to fix. And they just go in and they start like step by step, they can fix the car without any prior knowledge. So I want to know that what's the first, like what's the problem need to be solved, and what's kind of like who will use it, and then what's kind of like the scenario. For example, like for Tesla, it's like, oh, a car drives in and the person received the information and start working on it and goodbye. So that's kind of like the whole story. And some of them probably like, oh, for example, like Amazon or some, you know, delivery service, you wear AR glass and it kind of tells you like, oh, you need to put this box to another place. Like you need to kind of remove something, and you have like some list inside your AR stuff, and you kind of use gesture or voice command, kind of interact with that and finish your job without like checking out the paper or something. So I think those pretty much people use HoloLens or Meta 2. I don't know whether Meta 2 is still there.
Yeah, nobody really
used
Meta beyond Meta people, but
maybe HoloLens. So I would say maybe start with the problem solving, and then who's the user, and then come up with like what's their everyday routine, and start implement. Like for example, before, because
if I may, so if you're saying something like this, I'll just share my screen, and then I won't keep too much of your time, because I'm sure there are others here that have some questions. So so these are 3 different applications, just to give you an idea. So this was for a residential construction company, and so this was just leveraging some components. When the Connect came out, we were trying to figure out essentially hands-free. So this is for a timber fabrication company. Again, it's not pretty, but this was browser-based. So here, our office manager, Terry, is essentially, we're tracking her movements, and this is where she's able to essentially manipulate stuff. Now, this was back in 2012. And then when the Oculus came out, we upgraded this. Essentially, it's for, again, timber fabrication. So this is for Esri. This is where we were taking essentially a lot of different data. And again, it's a home building company. So just a little bit of some quick reference. This isn't a VR company. This is actual, they build houses. So like this, cranes, stuff like that. And then the goal was, how do you use interactive 3D to help, to your point? How do you identify the problem? So for us, it was having general contractors who wanted to be able to see how much stuff cost. So this is when the VR part of it came out. We upgraded it to show, and you know, and it was things like, all right, you have to have this below someone. You can't have things in front. You need to put them to the side. All this kind of fun jazz, right? And then as someone goes through and then constructs what it is and that they cost, all of this data translates back into a warehouse in Portland that actually has these machines that do all the fabrication. So it's essentially tying the interactive 3D with direct fabrication. And then at the Microsoft HoloLens, their first hack, we did that same thing, where we essentially took that and then merged it over into the HoloLens. So now you have an application that's web-based with a Connect, also has a VR component and has an AR component. So, so much to your point, it was that identifying the user. Now, the issue, though, as I mentioned, is I 100% agree, and you're right. You know, you've got to build an application where you start, what does the user need? Because that helps you identify the buttons. Where I may not be wording myself the best or conveying my message is that the hamburger menu. Right? Everyone knows what the hamburger menu does. That was not built because it was like, this kid's going to play a game, or this person we need identified. No, that's a standard UI kind of thing, right? That people know that means menu. And so that's what I'm trying to get at, or who are, you know, is to have just the conversations in the future for those that are interested. I can bring the people I know that are the experts, but we're all stumped. right? That's the problem, is everyone who's been in this space, because the web hasn't allowed for this. Yes, I can make an application that has a certain thing. But again, if someone goes to my website and they're doing 2D, but to your point, they don't have an old phone, maybe they have a newer phone that supports the WebXR device API. How do they then go into AR, and what's the hamburger menu user interface? How does the user interface translate? Because we figured that out with web. If I go from laptop to a mobile screen, we figured out how everything, what's good design ideas, and that has nothing to do with the user so much, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Have you ever read another, I don't know, book or pamphlet or concept called Natural, NUI, Natural User Interface?
I have not, no.
Yeah, you can kind of read, Natural User Interface. It's that from GUI to NUI, from hamburger menu buttons to NUI. NUI is that, imagine we are unlearned. We are monkeys. For example, if imagine I'm not human. I don't know any language. I don't know any hamburger. I haven't learned anything. I'm just a monkey. And if I want to learn something more, or if I am interested in something, I will look at something longer. Look at something like a little longer. So gaze, right? And then if the kind of technology kind of detect my iris and look at something for more than 3 seconds, it will unfold the information.
Right.
And for example, if I don't like something, I will shake my hand. If I like something, I will knock my hand. If I kind of like, oh, I don't like it, I will do the swipe, right? So maybe start with psychology. Yeah. So if you look at NUI, because NUI is still, I think this is kind of like the area where you need to make tons of mistakes and experience. Have you ever tried Allspace?
I have tried all the VR platforms. The problem is that they're still limited. Only now you're starting to see them have companion apps. So they're starting, that's why I said they're starting to go this way, right? Yeah. Allspace has a mobile companion app. HoloLens has a mobile companion app. Leap Motion has a mobile companion app. Yeah. So that's where, and that's why this is happening. It's just, if someone said, Damon, I want to pay a designer $200 an hour to design multi-device experiences that work in this way, I know no one to call.
Yeah, right.
Right. And so therein lies the problem. So
I think those, I would say that right now people are still experiencing it. So if you kind of want people to guarantee to get the best experience with, like, without making any mistakes, that I wouldn't say that it's, I mean, maybe some people, they know how to do it. But for me, I would say that I need trial and error. I need to try. And then I need to kind of like, if you read like an NUI, probably start with like just think yourself as a user, right? And then start thinking about what you will say. For example, like even voice command, it allows a lot of like different ways of talking. So maybe narrow it down, like making a story. Think you are the user, what gestures you will do. Just maybe like acting or something, just inside your head and listing everything out. Like for example, like a little boy, maybe he will say like, oh, I want some food or something, like from the morning to the night. And then maybe what the boy will do, the gestures will call, like maybe record the person. And then like the whole day, and you will start finding out some patterns of the person. And then you will find out more and more patterns of the person, or the general, archetype of the person. So you will start learning the person and then really dive into their mind and think what's the most natural way for them to do things. For example, like the kid, maybe he wants, like, for example, like he wants to call his monster. What will be a kid to kind of call his friend, or like what's the gesture that is the most natural, or something that you might find from your user, even because right now we are not like, those are not really defined. And you see like a GUI, it's like hamburger, button, you know, those are kind of like imprint in our head.
Right.
For XR right now, you see like Allspace, I listened to AWE like speaker event. There was one girl from Allspace, and she said that they have a team of like a staff listen to all the feedback from Allspace. For example, like, oh, we want more, we want to create our own VR space. So they start having like a world view, right? You can build, you can import your 3D model. You can even integrate with your like Unity project into Allspace. So that's why I was think that maybe not just like, oh, I want like 100% right for this project, but to maybe give the timeline, like before you think like, oh, within a month, I want the best user experience cross-platform. I think maybe if you can get the timeline more like a year, and you kind of having some people giving you feedback and some people play around with it, and then different scenarios, and then maybe you can get more input. And once you get more data, you know how to revise it. Yeah, right now there's no like concrete rules to do things, which is good and bad. Bad is that we need to really spend our time to kind of find out the best solutions for each different scenarios, because we are all humans, right? What makes you feel good might makes me feel good, or what applies to you might apply to me. So you might need to start working on those like concepts. And then once you see, because it's good thing about being like the, you know, pioneer, is that once you figure it out, the whole thing is all yours, right? The whole industry, it's kind of like you kind of like lead the whole industry. So what I would say is that we are still exploring. And then what I would do is to kind of get, the user and do more like NUI and see what the user, the touch points of each moment, and see how we can kind of make the experience better.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much. I'll thank you. And
sure.
I'll let Bill. Thanks.
Yeah. And anyone wants to share the project?
I want to say something, although I don't really have anything to share right now. I'm here in Tempe, and I actually run a meetup. But what I've been trying to do is to kind of service more of the seniors and that kind of stuff. You know, and as you know, there's a lot of ageism in this industry. So I don't even try to bother, you know, creating pitch decks or anything. What I'm going to do, what I did instead, was just got out and just build a business where we would have, you know, various VR things that we're doing for something that people are willing to pay for, like, you know, setting up a VR interface for people that are doing weddings and funerals and, you know, stuff where people are really willing to actually pay money for. So we kind of skipped games and all of that. And I noticed that there was a huge disconnect between what the industry was doing, saying, oh, okay, of course it's a gamer, of course it's going to be somebody 40 or under, you know, of course everybody's going to have Apple, of course everybody's going to have, you know, $8,000 a month that they could spend on games and all of this stuff. So what we focused on was, okay, can we come up with something that people can use? And I went down this really idiot path, I guess, you know, where we were saying, okay, we can use like some kind of open source, we can do, so, and we ended up spending 6 months abandoning at the end, trying to use high fidelity. And everybody has a little different interface. So you talk about, you know, alt space and whatever. What we started doing was something completely backwards, where we're coming up with an experience where we would just tell the seniors, or it could be anybody, it might not even be English language, for instance, where we just started from the basics and saying, okay, we have this introductory video. So before you put on the headset, they'll explain like what this is. And then the next step would be, okay, this is how it's going to work. And then we will then map out things that are the what is it, the elements of interaction, and figure out what apps will do what, and then explain to people, well, you know, you're working with Oculus Go, it can only do this and this, but we could do a lot with it. So I think the problem that people have, I think, is to assume that every app is going to try to go after the same thing. I realize, you know, WebXR is going to be the holy grail, but what we're trying to do now is come up with these introduction interfaces before, and then introduce them to people and then let them loose inside of AltSpace, but they would already have a user experience that they're happy with, so they don't have a lot of frustration up front. The problem right now is there's very few people that are willing to pay for something and then have friction trying to get to what they want. So you don't want to sit there and go through a 1 hour screwing around just to be able to talk to grandma on, you know, on AltSpace. So that's the thing we're trying to focus on. So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys.
Yeah, so what can we help?
Well, the thing I'm kind of wondering about is that your assumption right now, I think, is that every app kind of stands alone. And like what Damon is saying, he's trying to come up with this kind of overarching idea of, okay, we can do a kind of like program once and use everywhere. And I'm not quite sure we'll ever get there, because everybody's going to have to do something a little different. And you know, I'm pretty old, and I've never seen, you know, any of these you know, any of these projects that say build once everywhere, because once you come up with that, somebody's going to come up with something different where they're claiming, oh, use our once everywhere. Just like you have, you know, you see, you know, like you know, Microsoft tried to do that, Apple tried to do that, Google tried to do that, and you know, you name me one that's been around for, you know, more than 5 years or you know, or 1 year internet time. So I'm just kind of wondering, do you think this is a holy grail of WebXR, or are we just going to be doomed to just keep saying, yeah, this is going to be the next thing, and it'll just keep repeating itself?
I remember when I joined one of the Charlie Fink's talk, and he said that, yeah, like 20 or 30 years ago, they say, oh, this is the VR year, this is the AR year, but like nothing really happens. But I would say that, you see, right now, we've already kind of start developing 5G. I know 5G, people start, you know, like talking, and we kind of had some experimental about 5G, and Elon Musk just shoot like 420 satellites to kind of accelerate those stuff. So I believe once 5G, because the reason why like AR, VR, still like everyone loves it, and everyone talks about it, and it's not like really rocking and become dominant, right? I think hardware, you know, like still like lagging part, and then it's still expensive, it's still chunky. The hardware part needs to revise, and the software part, yeah. And also the content part. The software is still making for developer, not really for content creator. Because you see, like content creators, they are the person who can create tons of contents. So once people need to consume the content on those devices, they will start using or purchasing more like VR. Because right now I have an Oculus Quest, but I really rare to use. Like even, I mean, sometimes I have like an AltSpace event, I will use it. And then, but I don't feel that I can use it every day for my everyday work. For example, if I watch Netflix, I know some people would use VR to watch like some videos or movies, but it's kind of like really hard, like uncomfortable if I keep wearing my headset for more than 40 minutes. So I still use my laptop to watch it. But in the future, if the hardware can be improved, for example, like more lighter or like more comfortable, yeah, and then the data streaming can be instant, like 5G, use 5G, and then like content. For example, if a lot of people, they produce shit tons of content on VR, AR, then I believe the world will start moving towards, you know, the world of VR, AR. Right now, it's more like, yeah, we like company would spend like 90% for more like website app design, because the majority of people, and you need to think of like people, you know, like I love AR VR, and then I use it and I have my goggles, but as far as I talk with the people with my age, like 20, 30 something, like I would consider them are young people. I asked them like, hey, AR VR is such a cool stuff. Do you want to like create some content for AR VR? They told me, no, that's distressing. I'd rather go back to use my mobile phone or something. And I feel like, hey, come on, you are still young. Don't you want to be pioneer? Let's do this, let's do that. But they still like, you know, people kind of, like I remember that there was a talk for me with another game developer. I asked him that, oh, do you see that maybe VR interactive games will replace movie? And he told me no. And I say, why? But you see, like interactive VR movie or game is much interesting in movie, in, you know, like flat movie, you just sit there and watch. You have more interaction with the character, the storyline. You become your own heroes in the game. Why don't you think this will be the mainstream? And he said that, yeah, people have two types of mindset. One is that they will like more like gaming mindset, like no matter how difficult it is, I will achieve it. That's one mindset. Another one is that, oh, like user experience, like you see like all the apps, all the website, they want to make users use as least effort to achieve the most, right? So watching movies is kind of like that. You use the least effort. You just sit there and you watch the whole story and you kind of get some feelings, right? So you didn't really spend too much time, too much brain and interact with the character and build your own thing. So that's one part of a human brain, is to avoid hard work, is to avoid task, is to trying to be easy, trying to be chill, trying to just sit there and be happy. You know, that's one, like inside our brain, we have some parts of brain. That's one part of our brain. That's one lazy animal, like brain. So movie will still be there, right? But we have other media, which is like more like interactive. You have to think, you have to interact, right? So that's another part of our brain. We want to achieve, we want to kind of like, you know, like do a lot of stuff and achieve the goal, make a sense of accomplishment. So that's another mindset. So both of them will exist. None of them, like you cannot say that, oh, we human being, we always want to kind of like, you know, like, oh, we don't want to sit there and just watch movies. No, sometimes after you work, you kind of just like, oh, I don't want to think, I just want to sit and watch a Netflix one episode or something, right? You just want to relax. So that's part of the brain. Another brain is that, oh, I want to achieve more, I want to learn more, right? So those two are coexist kind of like inside our brain. So I would say that in the future, I mean, we are still adapting. Some people said that COVID pretty much accelerate digital transformation. So make traditional company, make them to kind of like, oh, get website, get an app. You know, like a lot of restaurants, they don't have a proper website. You see, like even website has been, you see, like since when, like it has been like 1990s, some like, it's probably like 30 years, right? Still, there are a lot of restaurants, they don't have a proper website. So you see, like sometimes we just follow our lazy mode unless there's something that hits so big, like COVID, right? Everyone are forced to change, right? So there are like early adapter. There are kind of like, you know, some late adapter. So an early adapter is kind of like early 5 to 10%, and the middle ground where like, oh, we kind of like want it, but we just sit there and see what will happen. I heard some of the speech of like current industry leader. I think a few of them, they have concept, which is like, I only talk something that I know. I don't talk something that I don't know, right? And because I want to position myself as an industry leader, which this concept, I understand that a lot of people, they kind of build their reputation. So they kind of like trying to avoid something that they don't know, so they can stay on their comfort zone and build their reputation, so they can keep saying like whatever they say is always right. So we have a lot of like, you know, like the culture thinking, and then some people, they just do be the you know, like pioneer, and they do something new and fail a lot and keep doing it. And I admire people who kind of had the types of like you know, kind of working hard and trying to figure out what's the future. But for me,
that would be me too, for sure.
Yeah, I would think that maybe those people, well, like I think Voltaire said that if you want to get a fortune, you know, the fortune is in the future. If you can figure out what's the gold in the future, you can get the fortune. So what I would say is that we keep exploring, and the majority people, they have the mindset which is that, oh, just give me Netflix, I don't want to think. Like there are, like I would say, at least 60-80% of people, they just want to enjoy what other people's hard working, right? And they take whatever success. So you see, like a lot of people, they kind of like you see, like during this COVID, you can figure out, like you can see, wow, a lot of companies, they rock, a lot of companies, they sink. Who sink? People who didn't really do the digital transformation, they sink, right? So maybe there's another time which forced us to go to AR VR. We don't know, but we know that COVID kind of forced all the business kind of make them online, which I don't know which is good or bad, because you see, like industry, see the whole history of like our revolution. We can see like a lot of different important events kind of accelerate some different movement. So I mean, once all the device, all the software, hardware, content is kind of being produced and generate, I believe we need some other major event or something big happen, so we can propel everyone to force to go to this, you know, new era. So yeah, so that's
so that's exactly what you're saying, and that's the path that I went through. So what I decided to do was, like, for instance, we had just gotten started because one of the friends of mine, his mother had COVID and they were stuck in an isolation ward. So what I think it needs to happen, or what we've been focusing on, was, okay, what are these motivations? If you're motivated to get the content. So for instance, we had a Quest unit set up, so we just watch a video and we streamed it directly with DNLR to a cell phone, so they could see a 360 degree. So without even saying anything, you put the headset on and you'd be able to basically be transported somewhere else, anywhere. And a simple thing like that completely changes the motivation of somebody. So you're talking about people saying, oh, okay, that Netflix, they're really bored. I think the problem is the motivation is different. And the fact that, okay, if you're motivated, just go outside and experience something else. I think the fault is in the interface, not in the content, right? I think that I'm pretty much proving that if you get people a little closer to, you know, better motivated way of doing it. So for instance, if the daughter comes in and says, okay, Ma, this is what we're trying to do. Would you like to do this? Would you like to do that? Have more of a guided experience. I think that completely changes how, you know, how you experience and remember using VR. Because I think almost everybody, my bet is that almost everybody you deal with goes looking for VR. They don't just have VR stuck on their head because they don't know any better. So I'm coming at from the complete opposite direction, where somebody's never seen VR, they may not even be able to speak. But if you put the headset on them and they see their daughter, and the daughter puts a keyboard in front of them, all of a sudden they can remember the songs in their childhood. I saw somebody with supposed Alzheimer's get up after this thing and start playing the piano, and I'm going, she can barely remember her daughter's own face. How the hell does she remember how to play a piano? That's weird. So I'm saying that there's other modalities that we can figure out. But where I failed was I thought that, okay, we just go to all the VR, we're going to be able to do all this. It turns out it's the opposite. We need to say, okay, you can have locomotion, you can do this, you can do that, and then have like a video with maybe a VR experience that guides them through it, kind of like the initial experience of a Quest. You know, when you first got the Quest, remember that user experience? Well, I put everybody through that. We created our own, and that completely eliminated, you know, it gave everybody 100% as far as when they got done with it, they were happy, as opposed to, oh, I don't get it. Because you only have maybe 15, 20 seconds to keep somebody interested.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just kind of wondering whether you're seeing that as well, as whether this is a big deal or not.
Oh, I think, yeah, I think VR definitely, just like you said, that it's kind of changing people's behavior and kind of like, you know, a lot of PTSD. I think in different, like in some universities, they use VR to kind of change people's behavior and like do like the psychology stuff, like the mental like the kind of like helping people to get their trauma, get over their trauma. So I would say that VR, AR is definitely kind of like start changing our life. Yeah, and then it slowly we will get used to it. You see, like right now, when people think of AR, they think about Snapchat, right? AR lens filter on their social media, right? And people start applying. You see, like on YouTube, like I think last year, YouTube used like you can apply different makeup on YouTube. I think it's just like their beta test, but it's kind of people start using it. And right now I saw a lot of like makeup company, they use AR to integrate, to receive the facial like data, and then to kind of recommend which product you should use for the cosmetics, like skincare, or like for the lips, the color of your lipsticks. And then also Pinterest also apply, like you can pretty much use Pinterest and apply the makeup on your face, and you can purchase directly on the website. I think those are really good applications for people to kind of like start, like for the consumers to start accept the AR, the convenience of AR, before we go to like Sephora or go to other stores to try makeup. But right now in COVID, nobody is trying it. So I wouldn't say that in the future after COVID, the physical store will disappear. But this is a good time for a lot of companies to experience more, like, you know, like to get more experience, and then to apply their kind of like original business plan to adapt, to integrate with AR, VR, and then to come up with another solutions. For example, like right now people couldn't try makeups, but by using AR, VR, they can try at home and purchase online. And if, you know, AI, AR, like the technology can be more mature, maybe after COVID, people get used to do the, you know, AR, VR, like mock-up on their face. They start changing their behavior and start, you know, like learning it. Because you see, like Snapchat spent 5 years to train the user to get familiar with their UI design, right? Because you see, like Snapchat is probably, I would say, really innovative on their UI design. You see, like the lens, you kind of tap a long time, and then you come up with the face AR stuff, and then you swipe. A lot of new user interface gestures are invented by Snapchat right now, right? When, for example, like when you open an app, it's a camera, right? Because before, Snapchat's tagline was, we are a camera company, right? They are not like a social media company, but they are camera company. So if you go to their homepage, it's a camera. So absolutely, they are focusing on their camera function and they make it so fun. And right now they switch to game, right? Because AR, you can play a lot of games. So they switch to game and they target it on young people. But they spent 5 years not getting like I would say not really getting any ad revenues, but they just build users and they start teaching their users. Like if you go to Amazon, you can see a lot of like how to use Snapchat, and they have like a lot of hidden UI gesture design. So I would say that you see, even Snapchat spent 5 years to teach their users how to use their app, right? So I would say that, and Snapchat's users are early adapter, young people. Yeah, it takes 5 years. So for this AR VR transition, I would say that first, our software, hardware, and our 5G at this, those types of things need to be like the infrastructure need to be concrete. And second, we need to have a lot of content. People jump in and create a bunch of content, and people start getting used to it. To be honest with you, my mom is in Taiwan and she doesn't even know what I'm doing. Yeah, I was trying to explain to her, but she doesn't really know, like she knows apps, right? But she doesn't really know AR. I told her Pokemon Go and she said, oh, I heard of that, but I don't know how you can make a 3D object inside a space. She couldn't imagine it. And so I know there are a lot of, gaps, because AR, VR, right now the function is not the mainstream. Like people doesn't necessarily need to use it. But if, for example, right now COVID forced people to, all the companies need to have a website or something digital. So, like like their business can run. So maybe there's another chance once our infrastructure is building and people start getting used to it, right? And then we have more, and then there's another event happen or something happen and everyone just push to the AR VR.
Yeah, I'm actually taking it to a whole nother level. The problem was that when I was trying to do AR and VR for these weddings and funerals, what I started realizing, until you get everybody involved on all ages, you're not going to get there. So what we finally started doing, this is crazy. What we're doing is we're actually in the local area. When we have a wedding, obviously we have it real somewhere, like in a hotel or whatever, or now it's completely virtual. But we actually send kits using Uber or whatever. You can actually send like meals and so we send the box with the Quest already powered up, ready to go, and all they have to do, and it's we rigged it so that it has that initial user experience, and we actually have it so that we rig it so that they could just pick it up. It's we got the tape across the thing, the sensor in your head, so that you just pick it up and it knows where what it's doing. So we made it so that you get a kit with a Quest, and you pick it up and you immediately there's no setup involved. And we do all that setup ahead of time. And then we send a meal for the wedding and all that. So we do all of the senses as much as we can. And that's what it took. We had to rig it so that it was absolutely, literally foolproof, because you could have somebody that, you could have Alzheimer's and still be able to enjoy it. And the only problem right now is I can't record any of this crap. So I don't know what grandma's, you could hear her saying something, but we couldn't really, we're not smart enough to figure out how to record any of that stuff yet. But but the next step is to use something like Engage, where they can record everything. And so what I'm trying to figure out now is there a place where it says this is like the almost like like DNA when you're born, you go through all of these stages, like you're first a chicken, and then then you're a mammal, and blah blah blah. I'm thinking that we need to have some kind of book that says these are all the fundamental things that VR needs to have, and here are the examples, and here's a video. So you put it on, okay, you have a go. It can't figure out you can't do locomotion, you can't do this, you can't do, but you can't tell them it can't, because they wouldn't know the difference. So you have to show them just sit still, and this is how what you can enjoy, and then you can go to these different levels, all the way up to a haptic suit, I suppose. But I guess Steam comes the closest to that. But what I think is going to be needed is kind of stuff like what I do, where you go to that extra mile. See, like Linux, when it was introduced way back in the Stone Ages, when I was around as a kid, they set up this thing where there were these what they call stamishes, where they would live events where you bring your hardware and your computer with you to the meeting, and they'll set it up right there for you so that when you walk out, it's already working. And I think we need more of that kind of stuff where people come in and say, okay, we'll set you up, here we go, and then have all these people willing to do that. I think the assumption now is, oh yeah, they're young kids, they'll go figure it out, go buy a Quest and follow all the stuff, and the manufacturer will get you set up. I just don't think that is a viable assumption.
Yeah, I mean, right now it seems like, for example, like, I think this is, I don't want to say still new, because AR VR has been around pretty long time, but if you want everyone to kind of jump into it, I feel like still like hardware, software, and then the Wi-Fi thing, like 5G things, like the data transmission, the speed is still slow. So those three, and then the fourth is that the content things. So that's why not many people kind of put too much time or too much effort still trying to figure it out. I mean, like, I know, like, right now, like big companies, they are developing, like, for example, like Facebook, they are developing a lot of strategy, and they even want to build another creative world. So like for social media and for meeting in VR, and they have Quest. I know those are still, like, they are moving. And if you want to have a guideline, I would say that maybe it still takes some time to have a proper, like, more like, like right now, I would say web design, app design are pretty mature, and people know what's do's and don'ts. But for that, I feel like it's not essential for people to kind of use it. And then if there's no user, then company won't spend too much time to develop, or like R&D won't put too much effort on this part. Yeah, so I would say it takes some time for the whole world to go towards this part.
Yeah, because you got a Google Glass, right? Did you get one? Did you go?
Google, I tried it. I didn't have it.
Oh, okay. So when you get the Google Glass, you actually have to physically show up at one of these centers, and you sit down, and they will go through the whole thing with you about how to work it, how to train it, all this kind of stuff. And every one of those headsets that were bought, they actually went through a whole onboarding experience, and that really helped quite a bit. And I was more impressed with that than the actual glass thing itself, of course.
I really like a Magic Leap. I think when I went to their e-commerce website, and I didn't even realize you can use your credit card to, put on your eyes and see the measurement, and they will do this accordingly, like send you like the like super fit Magic Leap. So I'm really impressed by the onboarding experience for.
Yeah, that's what we do too. So like, for instance, when our experience for grandma, I say, that's sort of, a short sentence for somebody that is just passive experience. Where you're trying to get them from 0 to whatever. And we actually do that. We actually follow what Google did, where, actually Magic Leap, where we take a picture of grandma and make her avatar, and then have and actually measure her IPD and set it for the Quest. So when they get it, everything matches up. So but we also have our own, we made a lot of changes to the headset too. Like we use a big spongy thing, so it's very comfortable.
Yeah, I think getting user feedback will kind of get your product improved. Getting some user feedback, for example, like what grandma knows, or what's her technology level, right? Because Magically pretty much communicate with developers. So so it's easier to catch if you are a developer you have developer background. It's easier to catch that. But as for grandmom, you probably need to use grandmom's mentality to build that, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's the sort of the ideal customer, right? Sort of, because that's the important part, right? Because you have these people that may not be alive very long. You want to have their experience, their feedback. And in fact, speaking of feedback, because I build embedded devices, we have to use Steam, and we're actually hooking like all these IoT devices. Well, not so much IoT; they're more like feedback. And so we're picking up on her, her pulse and her EEG, so we could see like how excited they get, whether they're really getting it, and having that experience. And we're now about to start playing with because we have that initial user experience where we have the instrumentation, and then hopefully from that we can figure out, okay, these are the things that's not going to work down the stream because you can't do this, you can't do this. So there'd be a lot of things that once you figure out what the person can do or what they're excited about, or if they have any disabilities. And that's the big problem. Almost none of the systems, especially VR, care about accessibility. It's like it doesn't work from the get-go if you have a disability. So that's a huge problem. So my point is that there doesn't seem to be really, sort of like a catalog or a checklist like you would, a UI, UX design checklist.
Yeah, what I would do is that I will check out some of the VR platform, like their user interface. For example, like Allspace. I think their user interface at the beginning, I remember there's a mode where you can see all your controllers, there's tags everywhere. I was like, oh shit, like there are too many stuff on my hand and I don't even know how to do it. But I really like their simplicity of their menu. Like in the center, there's like Allspace logo. If I get lost, I always can go there and go back to my home, like my virtual place. So that's, and then I really like, I think Allspace, like their circle, like the whole thing. And then when you are in the event, if you are the host, you can kind of like unmute and mute. I think they, I don't like their desktop experience. I like their VR experience more. So it's like, desktop. I don't even know how to use their backend experience.
Also Allspace has a, what do you call it, Allspace 101 that they run every other day or something like that.
Oh yeah, and I like their guideline because before I joined like an educator in VR speaking event, and I think Laurel, she mentioned she mentioned that it's better to use black background and white text. I mean, those formulas are they find out, like they test out, they got a lot of like trial and error, and they come up with their formula, and it's working. And I would say that sometimes I would do, like when I do like web design or app design, I usually do the competitor research, and I find out that competitor research is so useful. Because imagine, like for example, me, I don't have like $1 million budget to do the R&D, right? But if I go to other competitors' site, and because I'm the user myself, I can pretty much see, oh, this is working. I kind of put on my notebook, yeah, this is good. And like I combine, for example, you can list out like 5 to 10 your competitors, and you go to their site. Once you like it, you just steal it, steal from it. I like this home button. I like this types of like, like Magic Leap, or like you like circular navigation. You kind of write it down, and later on you will build kind of like a database or a book of something that you really like, you don't like, do's and don'ts. And then you probably can apply to your interface, right? So for example, like, oh, I really like my main menu to be like Allspace, right? And then this part I like, tint brush, right? I like this. I want like like the whole interface, I want this to be a fold. So yeah, and I think tint brush is really cool because it feels like I am painting, right? Like on the left hand, I have all my colors. On the right hand, I have my brush and I can start like brushing it. So like, it depends on like, you can kind of like go to different competitors and steal parts of it and then combine on your own interface and see how it works. If it worked, remain it. If it didn't work, just do it. Because right now I didn't really know there's a menu. Maybe Facebook later on, they will kind of like launch something. And after a few years, they will come up with a user menu. But it takes time, trial and error to come up with those rules.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. And you know what? The other thing that was weird was that a lot of the people that are in ARXR right now, they have a whole different business model. Like, for instance, I tried to hire some people and it's sort of like a more of an elitist thing where they say, well, if you can get a grant or you can, a festival or, and their resume is like, oh, I got into this festival, that festival, but they only do anything. In fact, most of them, when I talk to them, even locally, is they say, well, we don't get out of bed for $100,000 because they're so elitist that they what they do is so stuck in, how everything has to be perfect. And you got to have, a machine that costs $5,000 just to see their work, and they only put it up. That's the problem with the content. They talk about it and there's all these news, but you can't experience most of the stuff that's out there. Right? You see what I'm saying? That there's all this press going on about all this and that, and then they put it up in the like, for instance, how can you go and experience any of the stuff that was at OC6 or any of these festivals? They set up a booth, they show it to you, and then after that, nobody gets to see it again. But there's all this press. So I think that's the big problem. We have to change the business model as well.
I mean, I would say that for me, I would do a lot of social media. Why? Because I want to get traction, like get more users, and then while I'm building my game, like my game, I would do it similar to Minecraft. The developer of Minecraft, he kind of posts a lot of his process on social media, and he got a lot of users, and later on his game hit, and he got a lot of feedback and started revising it. And I know that a lot of people are afraid of letting their idea out because they are afraid people will copy their idea. But I would say that maybe those people are kind of like doing some demos and put that out there and trying to get more user and more feedback and get their product better. I think social media's power, I don't know, for me, I would feel positive about those feedback.
Oh yeah. But like I was saying, because I'm going after the more the senior thing, I don't even, like I said, I don't even bother trying to do with the whole social media, because when they see me, my face, and here's my old man doing this, there's really the conversation pretty much ends there. So what I've been doing was saying, oh, I can do a your birthday party remote for COVID. Now all of a sudden they're interested. And most of these people I deal with don't even do social media. The younger people running the show may, but I think where I think you're going to get more traction, I think, is when you say, I can do this for you for this much. This is what it looks like. Here's a little video, and it won't be, oh yeah, let me throw it up on Instagram. And the problem is, how many old people are you going to get Instagram to see that? But don't forget, now old people are the ones with all the money. So
I mean, I have my really good friend's mom. His mom got 2,000 followers on Instagram. Her mom is like 60 or 70 years old. Yeah. And her mom like taking photos of the flower in the garden every day. And she got 2,000 followers. So, I mean, some old people, I don't want to say my mom is old, but she is probably 50, 60 years old. Yeah. And she, I would say she doesn't use any social media, and it's hard for her to do, online anything. She read books. So you know, there are different types of people. And yeah, I mean, yeah, and yeah, old people, they have money. That's so true. But young people, we will have money, you know, don't discourage it. We have ideas, we have time, and we have energy, we have passion. So
yeah, exactly. That's the whole trick. And that's why I was kind of frustrated trying to get younger people to work with me to try to come up with stuff.
But I mean, I understand that startups have dreams and want people to work with them. But for me, the reason why I start doing everything on my own is because, for example, like I kind of I know my vision and I'm learning all the skills, and then I grow as the project grow. And I know it's good to partner with other people, but if the vision is not aligned, or like later on you don't really know the person or something, you know, like the partnership, it feels like I don't want to take advantage of other people. Yeah. So unless the partnership, everyone feels really fair, I would think maybe I start on my own thing, and once everything goes really well, I got some, you know, investment, and I hire people, I paid, because I feel like if someone work for me, I love to pay. Yeah, I don't want to kind of like, oh, I attract people and later on I get their work and okay, you guys go. So I know a lot of startups, I mean, they have like visions and they want to attract other people. But I would say that at the beginning, maybe, I don't know, just work and attract people. Don't feel like, if your mind is like, oh, I want to control other people, I want people to join me, I want to attract a lot of people. I feel like at the beginning, if your mindset is like that, it usually doesn't really work. If, for example, like imagine like just like dating, right? If you are trying to date a really beautiful girl and you kind of like every day you bug her and trying to like look up a lot of books like how to attract beautiful girl, I feel like the mindset is usually not like at the end it's not working. But instead, if you are trying to be a really cool person, like you focus on your thing and you make your baby rock, right? You make your business rock, people will flood.
Oh yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, so you don't have to like worry like why people don't want to join me, why old people have money, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, forget about people. Yeah. You cannot control.
I'm not saying that. Yeah.
If I may interject here, because I've definitely spent a few years hiring people in the space, and so what I would suggest, right, is the folks who are telling you that they shouldn't get out of bed for $100 grand. I'm just going to say up front, they better be about 45 and above. If anyone's telling you this and they're part of the DK1 generation, as I like to call it, they got into VR back after Palmer Luckey did his thing. Yeah. They should never ask you for that unless they're giving not TEDx talks, but actual TED Talks. So one, I would say if they've been in the space and they have as much gray as you can't see in mine, or you probably have more, then that's understandable. If they're younger than that, let's be honest, a lot of people, there's VR developers who can build these systems from the ground up, and then there are VR publishers, people who can go into the authoring tools and then publish to VR. So you know, just it is what it is. Now, a lot of VR developers now don't build those systems from the ground up. They use the tools. But I think, one, if you're a publisher, you're just using an authoring tool to assemble 3D objects and put them in to do something. That's ludicrous unless you're working and doing stuff for Accenture. So I think that's just the brashness of youth, perhaps. And then a lot of people mistaking, because being here in San Francisco for the past 15 years and knowing it's incestuous. If you've been in VR and AR, especially, you know, for any amount of time that goes beyond the DK1, it's a very small network of people, really. And so outside of that, Bill, what I would recommend is you know, much to Dominique's point, people need projects. No one understands that gray is the new gold, to your point. And so, you know, I would highly encourage, look at the boot camps, look at these other, you know, the XR boot camp, that is that initiative that came out of, I think it was CryEngine, essentially. I'd say look to those to maybe see the folks that need this, or people like, or others, right? These people who are developing out testing. What I would also highly encourage is look at tools outside of the US that allow for a lot of really cool development, right? ThingLink is an example of this, a Finnish company that does really cool interactive 360 videos. And I've seen more than enough people who have helped the elderly, right? Because elderly, the thing is even like with this HoloLens too, you know, it's all about how you point and others. Well, if you have Parkinson's or anything else, that's much harder, right? Even with gaze. So there's a lot of these things out there as far as how seniors have UI, that's definitely great resources. Things like ThingLink. Another application that no one here in the United States talks about is one called Playing Mondo out of Denmark, right? You could build Pokemon Go and then some, have it talk to Lego Mindstorm robots and all this other stuff. And that's been around for 12 years, but they don't market outside of, you know, Denmark because, you know, they're Danish. They're like, no, we're cool where we are.
Yeah, I saw those. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Danish.
yeah. So I would say, you know, to the elitist, if you're contacting those people, well, then of course, right? They've got Disney in their portfolio. They've got, you know, these things that they've done, right? You know, they built the first system with Jaren, you know, but if they don't have those types of things, I would just say in defense of the VR community that I've met globally, or let's be honest, Unity community, because I work in web-based stuff, and people don't work with web-based because ultimately, and that's when I know where folks are limited, right? They're game engine developers, because you can build web VR experiences. We can do these things like you're saying when it's a, you know, grandma doesn't have a headset, but she still wants to go in and video talk with people. How do we get her into AltSpace? No, use Mozilla Hubs, right? That's a browser.
Yeah,
Much
exactly.
to Dominique's point earlier, right? Sometimes she doesn't want to go into AltSpace. Well, that's what I love about Hubs, is it can just be a browser window like the 8 I have on the 3 screens I have here, right? And I'm still in the space. So I'll shut up now, but I just want to say that when it comes to reaching out to the VR developer community, yeah, if anybody's telling you that, they either have the pedigree in the track portfolio to demand that, which that's the wrong person to talk to if you're trying to do something startup-y, or their head is so far up their ass that they actually need to get VR to help them unget it out, right? So, but I'll leave it at that. And if you're interested in connecting with some of those communities, I'd say the Seattle, I mean, I'm sure where Dominique and everyone else is has great communities, but I know that the Seattle VR community, if you go on Facebook, Tron Nilsson and that group, that's a great community of people, has a lot of experts, of course, because a lot of the folks move their stuff up there. You know, that's a great community. There's not really one here in San Francisco, so I would just say skip the whole Bay Area. There's good folks here, but there's no longer a community. The city is very hype focused, right? So, yeah, but I'd be more than happy to help you out as you move forward.
Yeah, that is the interesting part, isn't it? Where I think, I don't want to completely generalize, but what I see, because I'm in Tempe, you know, we're doing our own thing. ASU is really big, and that when they do VR, it's sort of, oh, okay, let me teach you how to get into a AAA studio. And so I came along with all this other stuff I was doing, you know, like for instance, when I hooked up Hubs to a wheelchair controller, they weren't interested. They're saying, hey, a AAA studio doesn't need that, so we're not interested. So they have this sort of business model mindset that says, okay, if it's not going to work for 1 million people or 1 billion people, forget it. You know, can we scale this immediately? And there isn't enough of a market. So everything they do, they seem to think that they're looking at, okay, you know, oh, whatever you do, it better be the next Google.
Who is this, if I may ask? I'm sorry, I missed that. Who's thinking this?
Well, the people I talked to at ASU, because they've got this massive undertaking going on where they got an entire building, you know, all of this stuff. And
they recently put on, if I remember correctly, did they put on a VR healthcare symposium not too long ago?
Yeah, so
about a year or two ago.
Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? It's like everything has to do with, okay, we scale this to 1 billion devices. And I'm going, last I checked, you know, you got to start from 1. And anyway, so my point is that I think the business model of trying to do all of so that's why I was going to try to do my own little hackathon with the locals and just keep it a local thing, and then people can jump in. But I think if we kind of act locally and think globally and say, okay, we're just going to try this stuff out, what can we do? And talking about like promote yourself, the big problem I had was that we do these, you know, we have these celebrities, weddings and all this, that we do it all privately, but none of the people, or very few, except Mozilla, of course, are willing to do anything without their server being in the middle of this somewhere. So you can't like roll up a server and say, okay, none of this stuff's going to leave the room. You can do whatever you want and have at it. Everybody's all about the cloud. So I thought that was kind of interesting too. So, and that's why we spent all this effort with the high fidelity, because you could do something like that. But, you know, of course they kind of went belly up. But
well, Philip's stuff is great. And I would definitely say, you know, follow what he's working on. His, I think, is more of developing solutions that help VR than I was curious about the high fidelity business model myself. But anyways, so just a couple things there. One, if you need help with a hackathon, let me know, because I've definitely done plenty of those. We did the VR hackathons here in the Bay Area years ago and other places. Help Stephen and the folks who did the MIT one. So more than happy to help you with that. Kind of got that in a box. And then as far as the other goes, you know, I would humbly submit with the most respect to them, right? Because I was a speaker at that symposium. That's why I remember the. Okay. And I would say that folks that are new to this are following what is the current hype cycle. Now, let's be honest. If gaming moved this, and I'll leave it at this. If gaming is what this industry was about, Facebook, HoloLens, or Microsoft, Magic Leap, and all these others would not be shifting to enterprise, as they've all said they're doing. Right now, they would be shifting to gaming. So let's not. There's what people want and there's what people focus on. But I usually can tell who's in the space by asking a question. How do you think is the state of the industry? Now, if I hear people respond, well, it's going to happen, or it's still looking for that thing, then I know that they're focused on entertainment or gaming. If I talk to people who it's the slow adoption and they're saying, yes, we're seeing more and more of it, there's an uptick in the use, steady. That's enterprise. And the reason why enterprise doesn't come and share this at the VR AR events and others is because when I go to their industries, when I go to the healthcare, not the healthcare and XR, but just a healthcare hackathon, or not hackathon, but event or others. And I ask them and I say, hey, why don't y'all go and talk to these people over here? You know, because the VR AR people would love to know that, you know, we always hear it, but we don't see it. And this guy gave me an answer that stuck with me forever. And it made sense. He said, Damon, have you ever used a hammer? And I said, yes. And he said, how many hammer conventions did you go to and tell people how awesome the hammer was and what you used it for? and he said that's pointless. So I would say that, you know, in your enterprise, in the fact that you're saying, no, for this person with the wheelchair that needs this specifically, the folks that are new to this stuff, they don't know what they don't know. And that's fair. Doesn't matter if they're a university or a big company. You don't know what you don't know. And that's just humility. Outside of that, focus on that, right? Because that's where the industry matters, is when you have carved out and you're using the tech to help that niche that no one else is going to look at, right? And no, it's not millions of people, but it's people, right? And then you put all those together and that's what equals. Now everyone's using VR, but for tons of different reasons, right? So I just say still go at it, man. And if there's ever any folks, like I said, that I can, you know, again, through my network, I'm more than happy to help.
Oh, I appreciate it.
High tide raises all ships. You know, I'm not looking for money. I won't do the development, but I can definitely make introductions and help you move around. So,
hey, Damon,
but anyways, thank you, Dominique, for letting me speak. But I'll go off. But I just wanted to make sure that Bill, you're not alone, Bill. You're not alone.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Hey, Damon, I am looking for like speakers. Are you interested in being a speaker for the upcoming events? I will send you the.
I mean, I'm always humbled to yes. I mean, I'm
cool,
however I can help anyone. However I can help anyone.
To be honest with you, I feel like you have so much you have so much knowledge. For me, I just I'm in this industry kind of for 3 years. I would say yeah, for you, you have like a 20, 30 years of experience, and you've done a lot of multi like stuff, like, you know, like cross platform stuff. So I think your experience might really help like the whole community to learn. Like I think for me, the reason why I started this meetup is that every Saturday I can have like some thoughts, like upgrade my thinking. So I think you will kind of like, you can bring your knowledge and benefit everyone who joined the meetup. So
happy to. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like hijack it here, but I just wanted to at least address Bill's thing. And I mean, I'm more than happy to help. I guess I'm here because, again, I'm not a good designer. Anyone can go and look at my work and be like, no, that stuff is ugly, but it works, right? And so that's why I was very excited that you're doing this. And again, thank you, Dominique, because I'm trying to find these forums, because I mean, I have pulled researchers from all the big companies that you've named, right? And we're all trying to figure this out, right? You know, we're all trying to figure out, what does design look like? Because to the points that we've made, you know, it kind of became a de facto now of how you do locomotion. It's the square that goes out and the little thing that goes, and then you know, dop over, you know, there's the hamburger menu. And so, you know, again, not to sound like a broken record, but I'm trying to find where designers that have a background with graphic design. So that means you understand 2D. So then that means, you know, you can do a flat surface. Then you can do a flat surface with 3D in it, like with 3JS or others, you know. And then how do you have it where then you can go into the web page or drop the web page into the space, either through this or things like, you know, the Firefox mixed reality browser on the HoloLens too. So you know, so I would love to just be a fly on the wall to learn, because I am not anywhere near the level that I'm sure the people here are on graphic design. I get by, but I would, and that's why, like I said, I just want to, how can I throw in these ingredients and say, hey, I'd love to spark the discussion around this, but since y'all are the experts, since you're the experts on design, what are you thinking, right? You know?
I would say, why not? Yeah, because I really impressed by your background, and you mean like, for me, it's like I am learning, because I have design background, so I love to learn more about development background, and I find out you have a lot of knowledge of like cross-platform, and then all the 3D, and then all the like experience. So I think like I think the people might enjoy like hearing your experience and learning from you. And for me, I would suggest that, why not? Because you keep saying like, oh yeah, my UI sucks, blah, blah, blah. But why not you just do some little demo and let, like, because I believe in this meetup, majority of people are design background or art background. Why not you
I'd love to have people, I mean, beat it up. I mean, I've got a thick skin, you know, I mean, tell me what's ugly, but tell me how to make it pretty, right?
Yeah. I mean, because when I hear of that, and I like today I saw your demo, and I saw your, like, you know, like your pitch deck, or like, you know, your picture, or like the concept. I think it looks pretty good. But I mean, if you can have like a recorded, you know, like using video and recorded the whole experience, and maybe, I don't know, like, because we are going to have pitch event on November, December, and January. I start to integrate some pitch events. So if you are interested, why not? Maybe you can be one of our like pitch event, like inside, and then show your demo, and people will give you.
Yeah, thank you.
Feedback.
Thank you.
I think that would be more concrete, because I know we are trying to find the rules for AR, VR, or some stuff, but it seems like, I mean, Facebook, I know like a lot of different companies, they are trying to get the rules, but now it's just, there's no rule book. And the only thing we can do is we keep doing it, and we get feedback, and we change it. Yeah, so
that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I mean, if you are interested, because maybe do you know like the Discord? Like I have a, like in X Reality, we have Discord like group. I will let me see. I will post on the chat. Yeah.
Okay.
doing
Yeah,
our
we do
report
that.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to realize I'm pretty old guy. I actually could
old doesn't mean
design-
anything. Old means
No,
rich.
but I'm just
okay?
saying
You just
no,
say
no.
that.
My experience came from the opposite of where you at. I actually designed cell phones from the ground up. I can start with a blank piece of paper and tell you how to put together a cell phone.
That's
And I
that's
do.
amazing. I didn't know.
But
How,
the problem is that to me, it's like, okay, so you know, like where the gears mesh in your car. So what? I'm trying to get on the freeway. You know, tell me how to drive. I don't care. It's like the old joke about,
I
you know,
mean,
I don't want to know that. I don't want to know how to build a clock. I want to tell time.
I think that's the beauty of the community is that we all have our different specialties.
so I mean, if you can kind of show people your idea and attract people who
Yeah, that's what I'm
work
trying to
with
do.
you. Yeah, so maybe join our November pitch event because right now we have 1 startup sign up, but we have 5 slots. So
Yeah,
if you
I'll
guys,
take
I mean 5
yeah.
minutes, yeah.
I'll put together a slide deck on this crazy business I'm trying to get started. Hopefully we can
12
franchise it.
slides, 12 slides. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah. I did the
usually,
whole bit.
yeah,
Of course.
yeah.
Yeah, I've done a lot of pitches before.
Yeah,
so,
that's great.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still learning. I'm pretty new. I mean, I started this meetup like a year ago and I grow with this meetup. Yeah, so I feel like, yeah, if we can all learn from each other and grow from each other, then I mean, for example, like I can contribute a little bit of something from me and you can contribute something from like
Yeah.
and we can all grow together and become
Yeah,
better.
I like that. All right, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've been running like an hour late and thank you everyone. And Damon, I will
Thank you,
send you
Dominique.
like
Thank you,
the
everyone.
speaking event details.
Well, thank you. Very,
Yeah,
very
thank
humble,
you,
but
thank
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
everyone. So yeah, see you next week. Bye bye.
Thanks, Dom.
Yeah, bye bye.